so recording. It's recording now. It's really
Great.
to actually get to meet you because I really get excited when I hear of young people who are passionate about their true identity. And that project you did is awesome. And
Thank you so much.
I think you're setting standards for the young.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. Yeah, that is the goal, to be honest. If I can spark change or aspire to inspire the youth, then that is enough for me, honestly. But
Well,
yeah.
looking at the views that went on that YouTube video, I think you're on your way. I think you're doing your part. So
Thank you so much. I hope.
before we get sidetracked, I'm really curious to know about you. So tell me a little bit about you.
Okay, so my name is Ebony, as you know, or Abs for short. Um, I am 21 years of age and I'm currently a full-time dance student at a dance institution called Trinity Laban. It's a contemporary and ballet school. Um, but yeah, so I grew up in Wales. I was born in Wales. I grew up in Wales, Cardiff. And now I'm in London. It's a big
Oh, wow.
shift. Yeah, it's a big shift, but I really do love it here because I'm around just culture and different people, all kinds of people. So I prefer that. Um,
Diversity.
but yeah, what else? Yeah, diversity, and that's so important to me because I just connect with different people, and all my life I've grown up around the same people. I've gone to a predominantly white school. I've lived in a predominantly white area. Let's say my parents did well. That's why, But but it's just sometimes it can be quite isolating and frustrating, and I just crave that, culture and difference and just people of and diversity. That's exactly what I crave. But yeah, so I'm happy to be in London at the moment. But yeah, I like to see myself as an artist, really and truly, that reflects the time. Someone that really inspires me is Nina Simone, and she talks about how I love one of her quotes. Let me just find it, about reflecting the times. What is it? You can't help it. An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times, and that's something that I live by. So I like to create movements and I like to create art that really is thought provoking, and sparks an idea in people's heads or makes people stand up and really listen and look. I feel most fulfilled when I do that.
Inspiration. When I heard about your project, it did actually it got me thinking because I thought a young girl, these days you find most young people are trying to fit into a certain group and just following. And I was quite intrigued to take part and to hear of the full project. And afterwards, I was really curious how it would come out. And I must say, I was amazed.
Thank you. Yeah, because the project it wasn't just the song. I also put, I started with the tribute, which I thought was really important.
Yeah.
And then obviously it moved into the song, and then I finished with a spoken word dance. And one of my close friends, she does a lot of writing. Well, she writes a lot, and I thought her poetry was perfect for the project. So I included that. But yeah, I really did love the whole process of editing it. I did it all on my own because I couldn't, you know, meet up. Yeah, I couldn't meet up with anybody due to like lockdown and where I live in. Yeah. So where I live in Cardiff, South Wales, I'm so isolated. I'm in like this little town, literally around hardly no one. So I just thought, let me just do it myself. It's just like, you know, something like a little project I can do for me, and hopefully it can benefit other people and bring joy to everyone. But I'd love to do it on a bigger scale, to be honest, and have a proper team behind me, and yeah, do something bigger and better. Hopefully.
I was going to say you shouldn't leave it there. You have the surface, and I'm hoping that you will take it further, because that message in that video is deep. As far as I was concerned, as far as I'm concerned, it's deep. Anyhow, just to know a bit more about you so people can understand when they look at your video, can you tell me about your origins, your heritage? How do you identify yourself?
Yeah.
Why?
So I identify myself as a Black woman, for starters, a woman of African Caribbean descent, first and foremost. Obviously I was born in Wales, however, I don't claim to be Welsh. I claim to be what I am. So obviously the colour of my skin, the you know, the kink in my hair, that's what I claim to be. So my granddad is Jamaican on my dad's side, and there's my great granddad on my mother's side is from Sierra Leone, and I also have African descent on my dad's side as well, and also Irish. So yeah, I am mixed heritage, but definitely Afro-Caribbean. I claim that to be me, with a hint of Irish, of course. But yeah, that is who I am, and I like to claim it very proudly, of course.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell. And what inspired you to do this project? I thought of it now because October is obviously that month where we celebrate Black History, but you did this a few months before that. It's curious what inspired you to do it.
Okay, so
if you can you can just maybe explain a little bit about the project and then tell me what actually inspired you to do it.
Okay, so the project is a tribute to women of Afro-Caribbean descent and mixed heritage as well. So if you identify yourself as being African or Caribbean, then you could have been involved in this project. I did a huge call out to everyone that I knew, and really just asking for people to send in videos of them smiling, dancing, and just being happy, I guess. And I took all those videos of people. I got altogether, I got about 30 plus women to be involved in the project. And I took all their videos, edited them, took little snippets of them smiling, laughing. I also reached out to dancers, in particular contemporary and ballet dancers, because I feel like we are definitely underrepresented in the contemporary dance world. So I was very pedantic about reaching out to ballerinas that are of African Caribbean descent, or just and contemporary dancers that I knew of African and Caribbean descent, to be in this video. And like I said, so I basically just edit it all together, use tiny little clips, 3 seconds, 4 seconds of them just being happy, smiling. And yeah, and I put it over a song called Brown Skin Girl, which is by Beyonce, Wizkid, St. John. And I also created my own choreography to go along with it. and did my piece as well.
I loved.
Yeah, liked it. Yeah. So because that's what I do. I like to create my own like choreography, and I like to just put it out there and, you know, entertain. So I thought, why not do that as well? So the initial idea was for me to just create a dance to the piece, but I thought, why not? Let me just take this further. To be honest, during those times, it was when like the Black Lives Matter movement got a lot of smoke, and everything was just, you know, it was a lot, and really and truly, like seeing all of the trauma from seeing Black bodies being murdered for everyone to see online and in the news was just devastating, and it hit me so hard. Like there was one point where I wasn't eating, I wasn't communicating with people, and it really hurt me, like, because I've been supporting this movement since like 2016. That was the first protest that I went to when I was like 15, 16. And so to see it all kick off again was just like, it was really demotivating for me. And yeah, I was just very down and upset, and I thought, let's just flip it on its head and let's do something positive. I feel like as Black women, we needed that time out. It's okay for us to step away from social media, and it's okay for us to like turn a blind eye to the trauma and just, you know, go outside in the sun and smile, or maybe put some makeup on, do our hair, or just not even, just go in our natural selves and just enjoy ourselves, really and truly. I thought that was something that we all needed to see during these times. And editing it all was just making me feel so much more happier and lighter in my mood. So I felt like it was so necessary during these times, and just to show us as, you know, in our natural form, just enjoying ourselves and showing our talents and our beauty and our power was just so necessary. I feel like that's all I can describe the whole project as. It was very necessary and something that I've almost always wanted to fulfill and do. But what else can I say about the project? I got a lot of support from it, like, surprisingly. Not surprisingly, actually. Why would I be surprised about that? I mean,
I would say that I was surprised from the perspective with the lockdown and all these scary stories about coronavirus. Even I thought, how is she gonna pull this? And yeah, and you have no idea how I can relate to what you're saying about we needed that time to step back, step out of it. Point myself, I was also at that point where I was really affected by what was going on. And when I saw that request to be involved, just the mention of accepting yourself and smiling had me smiling, even though I was in the middle of feeling really affected by what was going on. And I'm quite sure everybody that took part smiled as well, genuinely. Yeah. Sometimes you just need somebody to say, hey, smile. And you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, yeah. And I'm so glad that I made you feel that way as well.
You did.
Because I feel like if somebody messaged me and said, you know, if you want to get involved in this project, yeah, I'd feel just accepted, you know, that feeling of acceptance. And
it was, and I like think thinking, oh my days, somebody is thinking about us as women. Somebody's thinking about us as Black women while we go through this whole traumatic and, you know, horrible time. And a young lady thought of us all. I did smile.
Oh, that's so nice to know. That's so lovely to know, honestly. I think it was just so important. I can't stress enough how happy I was with the outcome, really and truly, and how many people did come forward and put their part in. I was really appreciative of that. Some people didn't want to put their part in. Some people I messaged and they were like, no, but I support the movement, which was, I respected that as well. And I also had some other conversations, which is another totally different conversation, but some women were concerned about the fact that I could have, that I might be, or I might overrepresent the lighter skinned Black woman, but I stressed that I was reaching out to all Black women of all shades and shapes and all that good stuff. Some woman said to me, she wasn't going to involve herself, but she did in the end. She said, I don't really want to involve myself because I am mixed race and I am of lighter complexion, and I feel like light should be shed on darker skinned women. And I stressed her that I am reaching out to all women. I'm definitely for what you're saying, but please do involve yourself, because you are a Black woman unapologetically. You said that, you know, I know her and she is, and I feel like for her to be a part of it was would have made me happy. And I think if like, no matter what skin tone that you are as a Black woman, if you're unapologetically Black and proud, like then you could be involved in this project, and you know, and that was the main thing, really and truly. But yeah, I understood what she was saying. I also had another message from another woman. She didn't involve herself in the end, but she was saying that she doesn't identify herself as Afro-Caribbean. And I asked her why she doesn't identify herself, because she was saying that she's from Bermuda as it's not really a Caribbean island. She was explaining it as it's kind of on its own in a way. So she was like saying that she's Bermudan, Afro-Bermudan, or so. I think it's also really important to make sure that I'm representing all Black women and being careful of the words that I choose as well, because times are changing now, and I just need to be aware of what kind of, you know, words I am describing for everybody and stuff, and make sure that I put in the mixed heritage part in there. But really and truly, if you, like I said, if you are unapologetically, if you feel like you're Black and you're Afro-Caribbean and you're unapologetic about it, then involve yourself, get involved.
It is all about how you identify yourself, isn't it? And like I said, when we started talking, that a lot of young women and men have become maybe a little bit unsure because of what goes on out there. You try so hard to fit in that you end up losing that identity. And I think you doing this project and your passion for provoking thinking around that subject, it really did hit home. And I'm hoping I'm speaking for many that are going to watch your video and many that have already watched it. It did provoke thinking in me, because I think sometimes we go through a phase where we get so carried away trying to fit in that we then kind of unconsciously lose our real identity. And so, you know, it was important. It was actually quite necessary at that time. And I'm really glad that you saw it and you embraced the idea and, you know, put it out there, because it is getting us thinking. And, you know, I'm quite sure even that friend or that lady from Bermuda, she got thinking as well, because you had that dialogue. You got thinking, actually, how do I identify myself? Do I feel that unapologetically a Black woman, or do I feel otherwise? You got her thinking about that. And I think we do need to, you know, regularly be triggered to be thinking about such things. And you did
Sure.
one of my questions that I was going to ask, which is about what fuels your passion.
Right.
And I think you have answered it.
Mm.
And my next question is, like I said, October is Black History Month. In your own view, what do you think that is all about? And are you planning anything specific?
So, am I planning anything? So, Black History Month for me has meant celebration first and foremost, of my people, myself and my people. However, the environments that I've grown up in hasn't always allowed me to be that loud, proud, and exuberant person, I feel like. So when this month comes around, like when this month would come around in school, it would just kind of pass by me, because obviously like I said, I grew up in a very predominantly white area, went to a very white school. So obviously they're going to cater for the majority. And I feel like Black History Month was always quite half-heartedly celebrated in my experience. So yeah, which is quite a shame, really. And I really and truly, I feel like Black History Month should be every month. For me, it's every month now. Like I'm trying to celebrate my people every single month, no matter what, because I brought that project out in August. I could have waited for October, but I thought, no, let me just do it now because it was necessary for them, you know. It's necessary all the time. I feel like we should always be celebrating our people, celebrating each other and uplifting each other. Because I feel like that's you know, put us on that pedestal and just represent each other. Representation is so important to me, I feel like, because if I don't see myself in a position of power, or just in a position of being inspired by somebody of the same that looks like me, then what do I have to aspire to? Like, if I would see myself as a young, I'm just thinking back when I was little now, if I saw myself more like represented maybe in like magazines, or as just saying as princesses in Disney movies, and maybe as doctors and nurses, and I would probably aspire to be more than what I did aspire to when I was younger. But yeah, so I feel like representation is extremely important. There's this one dancer that I know of. She is a graduate from Rombe. She is mixed heritage. She's French and Jamaican. And she said, I put it on my story the other night, I think this is what I'm quoting from her. It hit me differently. This is what she said. I feel like there have been moments where I have been forced to be a watered down version of myself. I am Black and I am loud and exuberant. I feel like the system will never work in favor of Black dancers if the system cannot allow me to embrace my Blackness. And she went to like a similar school to what I'm going to now, and definitely I had extremely bad identity issues last year, and feeling like a watered down version of myself. And so yeah, it's frustrating when this month comes along. It's always just passed me by, like, because I feel like I cannot be that, you know, proud version of myself. But no more anymore because
Power
this
to
things
you,
are
power
changing.
to you, power to you, taking that step.
Times are changing, honestly.
Imagine coming from feeling the way you felt last year to then, you know, like proudly and boldly taking that step to project that piece of work that you produced. It must have been liberating for you. I can almost taste the liberation, even myself. And
it was. I feel so much more proud of. Yeah, I feel so much more confident now in myself, because as far as what the next projects that I'm working on is something for uni in particular, so for my choreography class, but I take it very personally, and it's for the work is for me. Really and truly, all my work has been for me. It's for people to obviously witness in my university, but I don't feel like they are the eyes that I don't feel like they're the only ones that should be seeing this. So I like to share it through my social media and whatnot.
I was actually going to ask you if you would like people to follow your social media, because I think people need to see you, people need to hear you. Your act speaks, and I think people need to see that. So, you know, like if you could share maybe your social media platforms together with your YouTube link, and have people. I'm also passionate about self-expression, and that's the first thing that caught me when, you know, when you reached out. The fact that you wanted to express yourself and use the one thing that you have control over, your own identity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have actually imagined that last year you were having issues with your identity, because you came across to me like somebody who owns their identity unapologetically. And so I think, yeah, even though it's a personal journey for you, I think it's a journey, if people observe it, watch it, take part in it, actually opens other people up to embracing their own identity.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I've had seriously bad identity issues growing up, because I've been around people that never look like me. I'd come home to my family, of course, but still, just Black women in general, I've hardly ever been around. I've never had Black mentors, Black teachers, so I had really bad identity issues growing up. Same with my first year at uni, because it's a predominantly white conservatoire dance school. Obviously, is specializing in ballet and contemporary, which is not always accessible to the Black community. But so my first year of uni was difficult, because I was trying to find my feet. I was trying to not get too angry about some things. I had a lot of experiences, and I talk about these experiences in a podcast that I'm a part of with other students, other Black students in my uni. There was 5 of us on the podcast, and we were just airing all of our experiences and what we think our uni, how we feel about our uni and what it's like to be a Black student in Trinity Laban, which is the name of my conservatoire. Yeah, and I'll definitely leave a link to that podcast, because I talk about all the experiences that I had. Some of them are very negative, some of them are quite shocking. But yeah, I had a very difficult year last year. But yeah, hopefully things are going to change, because we are leading the first ever African Caribbean society that's to be created in my university, and hopefully we can put on some amazing, cool events that is going to empower and educate and bring people together, because this lockdown has really opened people's eyes and ears. And there's a lot of students, a lot of girls in my class, a lot of white students that have, you know, come up to me and said that, you know, the work that I've been doing is, you know, is quite powerful, and they've really enjoyed it, and they want to learn more, they want to know more. So yeah, that's just given me that fuel as well to just keep going and try and educate, and just, yeah, because I think it's necessary, because we don't in schools, in our colleges, in our universities, we don't.
You saying that actually reminds me of a conversation I had with a lady who is a white lady, and through that conversation, I actually realized that a lot of the misconceptions that go between us are exactly that, misconceptions, because we have not actually had the opportunity to put ourselves out there unapologetically as we are and as we feel we are. That way where we act a certain way in order to fit in, I feel it's taken away from us the platform to be ourselves, so that we are understood as we should be understood. And I think what you're doing paves a way to a certain extent for everybody to start looking at each other from a different perspective. I think people always get drawn to things that you say or do confidently. And it, like you said, thought-provoking, it provokes thinking. And I'm not surprised that you're actually having some white students coming to you wanting to know more. And, you know, that's great feedback.
Yeah, it's great. It's been a couple. Of course, maybe some of them are also a bit nervous as well. So I think it's quite an awkward conversation. Like, I don't want pity. I don't want sympathy. I just want people to start listening and start learning and just understand more, you know, and not say silly things around me, and not, you know, it's this, yeah, I think times are changing now, and yeah, I think we all need to be more aware,
yeah,
and more sensitive and stuff to people. But yeah, I've always, let me say, last year I did a solo, which was very much thought-provoking. My first solo for Trinity Laban, and it was inspired by it's inspired by a photograph by David Goldblatt. He's a South African photographer, and he photographed during times of the apartheid, and some images were just so, I felt a lot of emotion within the images. There was a woman, you can't see their faces, these black women and men, their faces, but you can see their bodies and how they sat. There was this woman sat on a bench, and she was like cross-legged, and she was holding her arms like this. And the title of the photograph was just a woman sat on a park bench. But you could just see, like, you could just feel the trauma within the picture, and I drew a lot from that, and that's what sparked me to do the solo about it. And I got a interesting feedback, because I used the music score I used was just I created myself. It's on my Instagram, so I'll definitely leave a link to everything that I've worked on. But yeah, but the score was a mixture of voices from Nelson Mandela, like all old news reports and South African news reports. Trevor Noah was in it as well, and then I also ended with a song called Senzeni Now, which was a South African freedom song, and yeah, and it was quite. That piece was so, like, personal to me, because I didn't know much about the apartheid really and truly until looking at these photographs, and I did more research into it, and it's quite shocking. My nan would talk to me about Nelson Mandela. She loved him so much and she holds him very highly. But yeah, I tried, well, the whole motive of the solo was to spark awareness, because no one talks about that. No one talks about it, and it really didn't end that long ago. So, and it's still obviously there's still some real race problems over there, but yeah, I did that last year for my first solo. But when I was showing one of my teachers in my uni, this man, he said to me, I was explaining the whole process. I was explaining to him why, where it come from, like what sparked me to do this. And he said to me, he said, "Is it your story to tell?" Like, quote, "Is it your story to tell?" Close quote. And honestly, that really shook me, because I was not appropriating the South African culture. I was simply just inspired by this photograph, and I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to really embody the emotion behind these photographs, and maybe spark, you know, and shed light, really and truly. But the fact that he didn't even ask me where I'm from, what my heritage is, and then he came out with, "Is it your story to tell?" just really messed with my head, and also stunted my creativity. And that was just before I performed it for him as well. So I was kind of, so I was a bit shook, I was a bit shaky. So I didn't perform it as well as I wanted to. So yeah, and I think that really stuck with me for the longest. I went home, I wrote it down, and it really just played on my mind for a long time. And then I just tried to forget about it. And then later on, it was brought up again with a conversation that I had with some of the other Black students in my uni. And they were saying how, you know, how bad that was for him to say that. One of the girls was really angry. She was like, "We should take this to the principal. We should definitely." And but yeah, it was not nice to know that I don't have that support. I felt like I didn't have that support, you know, to use my voice as a young artist, because it's so important as young people to use our voices and stand up, and for everyone to do that, really and truly, especially in a environment that is predominantly white.
I would,
you know,
I would have expected that, since it's a school, a performing school, and performing is about self-expression, I wouldn't have expected that kind of response there.
I didn't expect it either.
There, it would have been a different story, but in that kind of atmosphere, having that kind of response, I didn't expect it. But bravo to you, because it didn't kill your spirit. You've still carried on. You still identify yourself unapologetically as you feel you identify yourself as. And I just hope that as you carry on producing different other pieces and doing other projects, that people will start to understand that when you are viewing something, you see a story, you get a feeling. Like you said, you saw that picture and you sensed the emotion behind it. Even though the label was only just one line, you could read different things from the picture. And that's how we should look at things, really. Look at something and think about it, not just, you know, like a passing glance.
Definitely.
Anyway, my last question that I wanted to ask you was, as we count down to October, what message would you want to give to the young Black women and young Black boys or young Black men out there?
Oh, that's a big question, but there's a lot of things, to be honest.
What would be the big one message you would want to leave to them? Obviously, we would need maybe more interviews to go over because it's quite broad. But I think there must be one message that you're always wishing you could pass on to the next young Black woman or young Black man.
To be unapologetic. I think that term, unapologetic, is a reoccurring term in my life, and something that will stick with me for a long time, forever, to be honest. If something don't sit right with you, speak up. Sure. Don't wait for it to get worse. Don't wait for it to ferment. Speak up. Be unapologetic in your Blackness, in your talents, in your intelligence. Don't ever feel like you need to water yourself down for somebody or someone or something. Always hold your head high. And a message to all my young Black women and Black girls out there: love your natural self, nurture your hair, and grow as a powerful Black person.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I am amazed. I like the bit where you say, don't ever feel like you have to water yourself down. It really touches me because I think I lived a great deal of my life doing exactly that. So even though you're a young woman embracing your identity, it took me many years for me to actually embrace my own identity. I'm writing a piece about the scars that I'm now proud of, that I used to be ashamed of because of that process of watering down who I am. I had scars that I used to hide, that I used to even avoid looking at myself because I identified them as a negative. But now that I have embraced myself and my identity, as you're saying, I see them actually as signs of strength, bravery, and progress. And so now I'm actually proud of them. And I'm hoping the message you've passed today will get people revisiting some of their scars and get people. I wore masks. We talk about masks with the coronavirus. Trust me, I had different masks that I used to wear to cover these things up. And I'm hoping that your message will get a lot of young women taking off those masks. And themselves boldly and unapologetically and embracing themselves.
Yeah. We are a reflection of our ancestors, our strong, powerful, resilient, beautiful ancestors. So for us to feel small, and after everything that we've been through, and the fight that we've had to fight is crazy. So let's be proud, and let's stay powerful, and let's uplift each other, and carry this fight on. And
amazing. Thank you so much for taking this time to indulge me, and I'm quite sure you have touched many. As I share this piece, I am almost certain you're going to touch a lot of people. And this is what we need actually from October going onwards. As you said, we should celebrate ourselves every single day. But I think with this project of yours and this interview, going forward, you have inspired people to celebrate next month, celebrate ourselves, and carry on doing so unapologetically. Thank you, Ebony, for letting me talk to you today and put your vision out there.
Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best, and I wish your network at your university will paint a picture to the world out there.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.